I've spent the past few weeks streaming Elden Ring, and it has been a very unique experience. You see, this is a genre of games I've never really played. Ever since the first Dark Souls game came out, I kept on hearing how this was a game for proper gamers and those who don't use easy mode. Bad gamers are not welcome here. And, well, I'm somebody who likes playing games on easy mode sometimes. I'm easily distracted. I have never been good at countering in video games. And my dodging ability is passable at best. And the way people talked about the game, it made it feel like players like me weren't welcome. And as further games in this genre came out, it was the same sentiment. People like me don't need to try this game. So I just wrote them off as something I wouldn't play. This wasn't the game for me. And it wasn't a big issue for me. I was happy that people who like really difficult content had video games aimed for them. But I knew I was not somebody who fit that group and those games. When Elden Ring came out, I heard about how amazing it was, but I also knew it was one of those games. And I listened to my friend talk about how amazing it was to play, but I just never really thought about it because, again, these games were not for me. I was not the intended audience. I wasn't really welcome. And it just felt like it wasn't even worth trying. But then my viewers started talking about me trying Elden Ring while I was being killed repeatedly in another game. Now, I genuinely thought this was a joke. They know how I play. They've seen me play video games up to twice a week. And they know I'm a bad gamer. So I felt that I knew and they knew that this wouldn't be something we would play much of. But I figured, it would be fun for a joke, maybe a few shorts, and we can all laugh about how absolutely terrible I am at the game. I would get the chance to try the game and then I would put it to the side and we would play something else. And boy, was I wrong. But now after many hours of playing, I want to give sort of my opinion on the game. Keep in mind, I'm gonna spoil some things, but also I'm gonna ask you not to spoil things in the comments. Because I haven't reached the later part of the game, so now I'm gonna tell you where I am right now as of my last stream. So spoiler in 3, 2, 1. As of my latest stream, I entered the capital. It was amazing. It was the first time I found the game chugging a little bit, but overall I found it really fun. And I managed to fight the king and get up to the door of the air tree, and it was locked with these brambles. So my current mission is apparently we're gonna get some kindling and I think I'm gonna burn a hole through the door. But that's kind of where I am right now. So far I have traveled through Limgrave, both the northern and southern part. I have gone through Liurnia and the academy and the manor with all of the hands, which I just ugh. And I've gone through Caelid and the swamps there, and finally gone through the capital and the area around it. Of course, I haven't found everything yet, and I don't do everything on stream. I'm also trying to play the game a little bit on my own. Because this is a very big game, and if I play all of it on stream, we are never ever gonna finish it. But all of the main stuff I'm doing on stream, and I'm doing it under the guidance of somebody who has already finished the game. Because then I know what I can do on streams and what I'm safe to do off them. And so far I have found there are many things I love about the game and there are some things I really don't like about the game. So my biggest thing is just the atmosphere in Elden Ring is amazing. It's the mixture of the environmental design, the creatures, the music. It makes a very pleasant and often horrifying experience as I've traveled through it. Going down to the underworld to Nokron was really interesting. and I liked how all of the environments have been so different. So far I think visually I've absolutely loved Liurnia, though I'm also quite fond of the capital. But I think Limgrave might be my favorite simply because the music there was so calm. I found such peace as I travelled around it. It was like walking through nature, except sometimes nature would just murder you, and that was really fun. I feel the atmosphere is well balanced. It manages to have these moments of calm, but also moments of tension that feel appropriate but not overbearing. Of course, I tend to freak out, so sometimes things get a little bit chaotic, but so far I've enjoyed it. I feel like it's really well crafted, and the puzzles I've come across have all been quite fun. The tower puzzles are excellent, and I enjoy that they are usually not mandatory, but still very much worth doing. I like that the game rewards exploration and curiosity, and I've had a lot of fun trying to find the paintings, even going about and trying to do some like horrifying jumping things to get down to where I think the painting was painted, which has been really fun. And the ability to just pick a direction and I'm definitely gonna find something is a thing that I have always loved in exploration games. Now I know the other games in this genre are more linear, but I think Elden Ring delivered a really good open world. Everywhere I go, there is something to see, something to do. There are these little visual stories all over the place. There are new horrors awaiting around every corner, new spells, mysteries, people. And as I explore, I felt more and more in tune with the world. I don't always understand the story, but I feel like I understand the world well enough to be able to travel in it and be a part of it. And I've learned about some visual cues. Like if I come across these weird rock caterpillars standing upright, there is definitely a jail really close by. If I find a spooky statue pointing in the distance, there is a crypt down there somewhere. And honestly, what I found to be the most pleasant surprise was the difficulty of the game. Now, I play a caster. That was advised to me because I am really bad at dodging and countering. So a caster would work better for me. I understand it's kinda like playing this game in maybe easy mode, but I quite enjoy it and I feel it's nice. And I like that there are different ways people can approach the game, that the classes are so different. And I am absolutely stunned that there is an ability to actually start with 0 and everything and no clothing, and that looks really fun, and I'm definitely gonna try it sometimes on my own. But that is great for those who want to start with like even heavier challenge. But when I came into the game, I expected it to be brutally unfair, absolutely unforgiving and bordering on cruel, because that is kind of what I had heard about these games. But I was absolutely wrong. Overall, I found the game to be difficult but fair. My deaths and failures are based more on my own skill, or sometimes the lack of proper gears or abilities. And that's something I've really enjoyed, especially going up against the bosses, managing to fail against them several times, realize mechanics they're doing, and adjust my tactics. And I am not the best at it. Like, I do this slowly, I fail often. But every moment has still felt like it's because of my own ability, and I've had a lot of fun with it. Now, there are a few things I am not so much of a fan of, but those are also very personal to me. One thing a lot of people really enjoy is the lack of a journal in the game, which gives you like at least quest information. I would prefer a journal simply because I am really bad at remembering what I'm supposed to do, but I understand and I respect this design choice. Sometimes I wish the graces were put in nicer places, especially when I had to fight Renala. I felt the grace was a little bit too far away from the boss room, especially because there wasn't one of those little statues that you can come back at either. So every time I died, which I did a lot, I had to run back there. And every path to her just seemed to be full of death. The dialogue system I find kind of finicky. I wish I could just start a conversation with the character and they would just go through their entire conversation with me instead of me having to like click them repeatedly to tell them like, yeah, but I want to keep on hearing what you have to say. And I think my biggest pet peeve is the aiming system, as I'm playing a sorcerer, so I am ranged. And if I want my spells to hit anything, I kinda need to lock onto the thing. And sometimes when I have locked onto an enemy, but I'm also trying to move my character or look around a little bit, I end up just bouncing my aim between several different enemies. This was so bad in the Renala fight, because once he falls down and then I had to go and try to like do as much damage to her as possibly, as fast as possible. I swear the aiming system was trolling me by aiming at every single other being in the room outside of Renala. But these things I'm like not a huge fan of are so minor compared to all I love about the game. I mean, some of my favorite moments in this game so far have been discovering weird things out in the world, like the sleeping dragon, where I had to go and actually kill all of their minions. And you could see the minions were possessed because their eyes were red, and they only had half life. I thought that was really interesting, that was fun. And the game is full of these fun things and interesting characters I've been meeting. And they all have their own agenda and things they want to do. And I don't know who I'm fully supposed to trust, and that's lovely. It feels like a really dark and interesting world. As I go further into the game, I hope the difficulty remains the same, challenging but fair. I am excited to see what happens as I try to keep on getting into the air tree. I had this goal so far to go to the tree, and it's interesting now that I actually have to go away from it to find a way to light the tree on fire. which makes me actually really happy and excited, because that is just something I didn't expect to happen, and I'm quite excited for it. I'm excited to see how the story ends, and I am going to become an Elden Lord. I have decided I will do it because now I know I can do it, and maybe when I'm done with Elden Ring, I might try some of the other games. I know they're more difficult. Apparently Elden Ring is meant to be the easiest one, I think, just based on what I've heard from people. But this game has opened up the genre as something I can try out and that I can play. I think that's really interesting. So that's my thoughts on Elden Ring so far. I am obviously gonna make a video on if it's worth playing when I'm done. And so far, like, my first reaction is yeah. If you haven't been curious about these games, try it out. It is a really interesting game to play. I mean, it's definitely not for everybody, and that's perfectly fine, but don't be afraid of it. It is far more accessible than I ever thought it was. And I am really, really enjoying it. Now, thank you so much for listening to this little talk about Elden Ring. If you want to join me for my streams, I stream Fridays and Sundays. Currently, we're working on finishing Elden Ring. Then we're gonna go play something else. What games I play can be heavily influenced by you guys. So, if you like to be part of it, subscribe to the channel. You can check down my links in the description and join my Discord. There you can vote on games when we start picking new games, and generally just hang out and talk about video games and have fun. But I would love to see you guys join me for my next stream. But while you're here, please do all the good YouTube stuff, and I hope I will see you during the next stream.